Oh, good morning, everyone. Let me just take these off. Music's great, isn't it? Love listening to music, and that was a Christmas present from my son a year or two back. Great little present. Love listening to music. It's this Christmas time, wherever you go, if you've been anywhere, because it's not like so obvious at the moment. You'll have heard Christmas music being playing wherever you go, and hey, I like it. At Christmas time, it's great, and I particularly love carols. We were in church yesterday, and it's good to hear a carol, good to sing a carol together. Some music though is incredibly powerful, and I grew up in the '60s, and part of that legacy was listening to some of the protest songs. The protest movement was obviously incredibly strong. You had the marches going on with Martin Luther King and others leading them, and I was very influenced by many of the songs and the singers. And so you had the likes of Joan Baez and Bob Dylan, Peter, Paul and Mary and others. And those songs, I found many of those songs incredibly powerful, got me thinking as a young person. And I guess this year we've seen obviously the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement, and people beginning to stop and take account of perhaps how they treat others, how they think of others, and what they do, and begin to think differently, and challenging preconceptions, challenging the way everything is. I mentioned a week or so back, this is day 14, if you're following your Advent calendar of our countdown to Christmas. But I remembered mentioned earlier about Mary's song. And I have to say, this is one of the most powerful and revolutionary songs in history. So powerful was it that Archbishop Temple, who was around in the early days of the Second World War, he apparently instructed some of his missionaries in India never to preach from these verses if there were local non-Christians in the building. Why? Because in a country with so much poverty, in a country that was in many ways reliant upon a caste system, that the words spoken by Mary could be incredibly incendiary and could cause riots. If taken out of context, he felt, could cause real problems. And that's the whole thing, that this is a very powerful song. Let me read you a little bit of Mary's song. Mary responded, "Oh, how my soul praises the Lord, how my spirit rejoices in God my Saviour. For he took notice of this lowly servant girl." And who does? "And from now on all generations will call me blessed. For the mighty one in holy, he has done great things for me. He shows mercy from generation to generation to all who fear him. His mighty arm has done tremendous things. He has scattered the proud and the haughty ones. He has brought down princes from the thrones and exalted the humble. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away with empty hands." Hey, you can see how dangerous this is, and how dangerous it was in her day, how dangerous this was to people around. We've read some of the story about Herod, and how him and others were really worried and really concerned about the birth of a rival, a king, somebody who the people would turn their attention to. and ruin their dynasty, ruin everything they had, ruin the whole of their culture as it had been built. And this was the biggest problem people had with Jesus, that his message was subversive. His message undermined the status quo. Well, the rich get richer and the poor what? We need the poor to do all our menial tasks to look after us. And here, this song subverts that and says that God takes the humble, takes the unknown, takes the 12, 13-year-old girl from an unknown village and raises her and elevates her. And that's a symbol of what God does, not for everybody. And so here, when Luke writes, Luke 46 to 55, haven't finished it all, but this is a revolutionary song. And I want to say that the story, Christmas story, the birth of Christ, everything around Christ is not normal, is not the same, isn't a case of status quo. Jesus is far from establishment, and Christianity at its best has always remained far from establishment, and the most revolutionary thing that this world has ever seen. And the essence of that is that when Christ comes into your life, like he'd come into Mary's life, it revolutionises your life, and you will not be the same again. And the results and the influence that you bring to bear in the world will not be one of retaining the status quo. God bless you. Have a great day, and I hope you can join me again tomorrow for our Advent Bites.